Today, we're going to be talking to David Lord, General Manager of Nexa. But listen, here's what I want to talk about. Let's talk about the difference between call centers, answering services, and booking services. David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Chris. Thanks for having me. Janik, thanks for being here as well.
So good to have you. David, tell us a little bit about who Nexa is and what they do.
Yes, so Nexa is a 24/7, 365 live answering service that's transitioning itself to be more of a booking service, as you said. So kind of a la carte services, after hours, overflow, outbound, inbound, lead form follow-up. So making sure that, people are waking up to appointments and not missed calls, coming
Awesome.
in and allowing some breaks for their team, right? So burnout is real, staffing is a challenge, managing sales and booking appointments is a complex process that takes a lot of energy, and we want to help tradesmen take that away.
Well, David, one of the things I always talk about is having flexibility, right? So, like turning things on and turning things off. If I'm a contractor today and I've got two CSRs in my business, and all of a sudden, weather or Mother Nature or somebody calls out sick, and I can feel this insane amount of pressure on me and my team to actually be able to get on the phones and book appointments. And we know how that works, right? Calling people back doesn't always work as follow up. So having a good partner, David, I've been around in the industry for a very long time, and this is always a crazy question that always gets asked. I see it all the time in social media, people in groups saying, "Hey, I'm in need of an answering service." And David, you said something very, very powerful. And I want to call attention to this. Anybody can be an answering service, but they really get measured on what? Their booking. So, David, maybe tell me a little bit about why you think most answering services suck.
Yeah, I think probably because they're not focused on the outcome, right? They're maybe focused on answering a phone call. They're not focused on what does it mean to that business. We're a representation of our business, and how do we represent ourselves, and how do we help them turn a call into not just a not missed call, but into an outcome they desire, right? Getting somebody in that house, right? Getting an appointment, getting a sale, getting revenue. That's what's important, or retaining that client, right? And retaining that revenue. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is just it's a people powered business. People powered businesses are challenging. And I think I came into this about a year ago, and something I saw was we wanted to say yes to everybody. We wanted to help everybody. And we started doing a little bit of everything for everybody. And that just meant mediocrity for everybody. And so we really stepped back, invested in technology, built some processes that kind of box in what we do a little bit. We say no to our clients a little more than we used to, but that results in a better outcome for them in the long term. And I think when you mix that with technology and those processes, it really helps kind of move us from being another one of those sucky answering services to being what I would say a pretty good one, a really good one. And I think we're going to be a great one by the end of 24.
So listen to that for everybody right now, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, home service businesses right now. You just heard David say this. One of the things that they've learned is to say no to their customers. So I want you to think about this. If you're an owner or manager of one of those businesses today and you're asking call centers to act like they're sitting in your business to know everything that everybody in your business does and how you want every little detail, you just heard David say it. It's going to suck. It's never going to meet expectations. So, David, maybe tell me a little bit about your process, kind of what you guys do, like when it comes to actual bookings. Give me a few examples of some things that you guys might say no to today.
Yeah, and I think, Chris, going that way, I think that's where onboarding too, I would say anybody who's looking at a service, whether it's us or anybody, and I guess this goes to picking partners, right? When you look to partner with a company, whether it's an agency for marketing or a software company, you want to look for a company that's going to really learn your business, right? So what's that onboarding experience like? Do they take the time to learn your business, right? Do they have defined processes? Do they have, technology that is an extension of your business that's enterprise level? And I think when we look at, learning, you hire a new hire, you don't just sit them in a chair and go answer the phone today, and day one, they perform like the person that's been answering your phones for 20 years, right? Or yourself, right? I see that one a lot, right? Where you're trying to move away from being hands-on to being more of a manager. you got to take time to train them. And we've really a big difference with us is, hey, we need at least an hour with you day one to get trained on what is that script, right? We have a dynamic script tool. We're going to program into that tool how you want us to handle the call. We're going to go through that with you in an hour, ask you a lot of questions. Most of the time, clients have to go gather some info. We make them think about their processes. Sometimes they change, they come back, they give it to us. We then go and program that in our system. It takes about a week. We go back to the client and say, let's demo it for you. They need to show up to that demo thinking critically about what we built. This is all part of that training process, right? And then normally they see it, they change things, and then we go back and change it. Then they demo again, and then we go live. So really taking the time with that client to really understand their business and them to understand how we're going to handle it. And I think historically, a lot of services, ours included, would just rush that process. Hey, we sold the deal and we just want to get them live. And then we don't program it well, because that programming and dynamic scripting tool is what really helps the agent and ensures the agent is successful, right? Most people blame the agent for all the problems. I would say 99.9% of the issues we have with our receptionists answering phones is not the receptionists themselves. People make mistakes. It's that programming and onboarding. And I would say most companies, when they have problems with their employees, if they look in the mirror, sometimes it's the employee. A lot of times it's their training and what they're doing to get that employee to be successful, you know?
Wow. So hear what David just said. Very, very powerful. In many cases, the business is not operating at peak performance already because of a lack of systems and training. And so, how difficult, David, it is for an exterior company to come in and pretend to be a part of a team that's already got some chinks in the armor, so to speak, probably makes it pretty difficult for you guys. And I know, David, right? When things go wrong, you're going to be to blame, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And, like I said, we make mistakes and we want to own and stand by them, but we want our clients to grow and be successful. Back to your point on outcomes, we spent a lot of time last year really building our integrations and our capabilities for scheduling appointments when we take calls, and then building outcome reporting that our agents can see. So we know how our agents are performing from a booking rate, and then our clients can also see from a booking rate. And I think, as we work through those processes, that's really what helps us all kind of align on the expectation together, right?
exactly. So I always say this, David, that frustration always occurs when expectations are out of alignment, right? So I was expecting one thing and you delivered this, and that gap in between is going to be that level of frustration. And I would say if you're here watching this today, Facebook Live, or you're watching this in a recording through maybe some of our email or our YouTube channel, if you are an HVAC plumbing electrical contractor and you're looking for someone to answer your phones nights, weekends, overflow, or full service, you got to make sure you get your house in order first, right, David?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If you're looking to grow too, I mean, make sure you're answering those calls. You're doing, Google local service ads, which hopefully all your members are doing, right? It's a great way to get affordable leads. One of the things Google looks at is your responsive rate, response to messages, response to calls. If you're below 80%, you're getting dinged and delisted. We can help with that, or any answering service should be able to help you with that. I hope it's us, but anybody out there, right? That's where we can come into play, right? There's no reason to spend money if you can't handle the volume that's coming in.
So, David, I heard you say also outbound. So, you guys handle any form fills or anything on websites, response to that as well. So, this is not just, hey, the phone's ringing, answer it.
Yeah, we actually have a fairly good business that we do calling lead lists or member lists. So in the shoulder seasons, keeping your boards busy, calling, getting you in the home. So that's a fairly big growing business for us over the last year as well. Again, as we've come from a call center to more of a booking service, outbound's a huge component of what we do.
Awesome, fantastic, David. Tell me a little bit about like why, if I'm a service business, how would I know if I needed an answering service?
That's a great question, Chris. I think one, hopefully you're tracking your call metrics as part of your marketing and what you do, and you're seeing how many missed calls you have. That's a big indicator. The average small business is about 108 calls a month. I think if you have, if you're rotating an on-call at night and you think people are answering your phones, but you don't really know, you probably need an answering service. And I think if you have burnout and trouble staffing those nights and weekends, that's a huge opportunity, right? I really think if you're looking to grow your business, You either need five is probably the number depending on volume, but if you want people to have vacation time, sick time, call outs, and you want to handle your calls yourself for the whole 24/7, you're talking at least five people, right? And that's a lot, right? Five full-time people to answer phones. You can do the math, and answering services such as ours that do it on a shared service model. So again, that technology is dictating how our agent answers the phone. So you get a pool of hundreds of agents, but you're just paying for the minutes you use. It's a fraction of the cost of those full-time people. And so I think that's also something you have to consider.
So David, this I'm gonna chase a rabbit here for a minute, but what if
Go
I'm
for it.
a smaller company today and I know that, I kind of put myself as the owner that's still kind of out in the field trying to be the CSR and the dispatcher and run calls. Do you guys have like a minimum size company that you guys would work with? Or if I'm a small operation today, would you guys consider working with me?
Absolutely. Yeah. We have clients, everything from, one truck and 500,000 in revenue, 100,000. I'm just a startup and I need help to, $100 billion companies. I think the services we offer and that box is going to be dictated by volume, right? So think of it as like we like say at bats. If I give an agent one at bat a year or a month because they're only getting 100 calls and you got 100 agents, that we got to keep that box narrow, right? Maybe booking in Calendly versus going into Service Titan, right? So it's all based on the services we're offering and the number of calls we're receiving. But we handle everything from like I said, startup to your really scaled businesses looking for people to call and get them back in the door.
Mm, very, very good, David. I know during my time of operating, it was so crazy. I tell this story often. Me and my partner had recognized quickly that we had some data metric challenges, and we identified that our booking rate wasn't what we thought it was because all of our numbers were not ported in through our phone system. And accidents happen with technology, and we went from what I thought we were booking in the 80s down into the 60s. And I said to my partner, like, we're bleeding, we're literally hemorrhaging right now, we have to solve this. And I actually flew to Phoenix and went to a call center, and one of the things that I seen while I was there, David, is I recognized something, and it sticks with me so much today because it was a pivoting moment in my business. And I recognize that call taking in a CSR job is not an administrative position. It's
Mhm.
not, it is 100% a sales revenue generating person. And so my mind just totally changed about that. And I said, well, I'm pretty good at sales and I understand generating revenue. So maybe, David, tell me a little bit of difference. And I think you kind of alluded to it a little bit. Like we're not necessarily a call center, we're a booking service. So tell me a little bit what makes Nexa different than all the rest.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's a great story, right? When you get out there and you get to experience it for yourself. I think one that's just different from a call center, where all of our agents are virtual, so everybody's working from home. We've invested in technology to allow that to work seamlessly. So I think that's different, and that's actually important when you have storms, right? So there's a storm in the Northeast right now. I've been getting calls from clients saying, hey, we're closing tomorrow. We're going to send all our calls to you. If I was in the Northeast and I had a call center in the Northeast and they were sending me all their calls tomorrow, I'm not going to have employees in the office tomorrow either, right? So I think one that's a small differentiator, but I think, embracing that remote environment. We're in 29 states. So the impacts of storms are negligible to us from a staffing and standpoint. I will say also our absenteeism and our turnover is, I've worked in call centers for 20 years. I've never seen absenteeism as low as where we're at, which is great. Um, I think the process and technology, there's a couple technologies that most smaller call centers, answering services use. They're prone to outages. They're still on-prem. They're not cloud-based. We're on a multi-billion-dollar enterprise phone system paired with a custom API dynamic scripting tool that's omni-channel. And that's a big differentiator. And then our agents only handle home service calls. So I'm not going to sit here and say that, our agent is like you were when you were running your business. They're not going to have all that knowledge, but they're not sitting there taking calls from a law firm, a doctor's office, a plumbing, electrical, HVAC. We do a ton of HVAC, plumbing, electrical. That's probably 80% of our base in home services. And I don't want to say they're experts, but they definitely have industry knowledge there. which I think is also a differentiator in the space.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. I appreciate you joining today because I mean, I'm in social media groups where I hear people talking about what's a great answering service, and David, I don't want this to sound bad, but rarely do I hear people just give glowing reviews about answering services, and my mind goes to it may not be 100% the service itself. It may be the relationship and how the relationship was established. What an eye opener today that you got to get your own house in order. Like if you do plan on using an external booking service, I'm going to refer to Next as a booking service. You got to get your house in order. Make sure you've got good firm processes, and then that transition, David. So, man, thank you so much for your insight today around bookings and services and after hours and what all you guys do over at Nexa. Remember, if you're a blue collar member, we do have special opportunities for you to work with Nexa. However, if you're watching this recording, please, by all means, we're an abundance minded company. You need services, reach out to David and your team. David, why don't you do me a favor? What's the best way for someone to get a hold of you if they're not a blue collar member?
Yeah, absolutely. You can always go to nexa.com. I'm a big LinkedIn. I'm David Lord on LinkedIn at Nexa. I always love these conversations. Like, you do what you do, clearly you want to help people, and that's what I like to do as well. So, again, if it's us or it's not us, just happy to help and happy to chat and help people grow.
Awesome. Now, if you're watching this as a member and you're in our Facebook group watching this right now and you got any questions, you can always post those in the comments, and please feel free to reach out to your coaches here at the Blue Collar Success Group. We're always looking to find solid partnerships with solid people who do business the way that we want to do business, which is they treat you the way we want to be treated. And so, David, thank you so much for the partnership, helping our members to be able to build and grow their business. I got a couple of questions for you, David, that are kind of not topic based, but before we get to those, if you could just do me a favor, give me your 15 to 20-second elevator pitch for Nexa.
Oh, my 15 sec. That was, I would say if you're looking to grow your business, if you're looking to partner with a company that wants to help you grow, I think that's what we're here to do. Like you said, we're gonna put you through a process in onboarding that's gonna make you think about your business, and it may not be right for everybody. It's probably a little more invasive than just answering your phones, but I think we're gonna make you better. Again, inbound, outbound, 24/7, 365, transparent billing. We bill you when we work. There's no additional costs for holidays, nights, weekends. You can turn it on when you want. You can turn it off. There's no long-term commitment. We really want to make it easy to do business with us. And yeah, I hope those that see it as a fit and a need, give us a call.
Makes all the sense in the world. I'm going to say this, David, before we hop into the last couple of questions here. David and I, before we hopped on this recording, did Facebook Live. I just asked a few questions. We were kind of chewing the fat, so to speak. And David said, "Are we perfect? Absolutely not. We strive to be perfect, but what we will do is when we're not right, we'll make it right." And so, David, that hits home for me. If you're a contractor out there and that speaks your language, and you guys are in need, at least explore, have a conversation with David and his team. All right, David. Now on to the fun stuff. For those that always wait to the very end for the fun stuff that we do. Right now, David, if you had to choose one food for the rest of your life, your only meal you get to eat, what's it going to be?
Oh, Ben and Jerry's mint chocolate cookie ice cream.
There you heard it. We're living off ice cream,
Yeah,
but it's
love it.
somewhat healthy because it's got mint in it, right? I guess that's the position we could take on that.
I guess my breath would smell all right,
Awesome. Second question, and this one's going to come from a little bit of left field. What's your favorite musician all time, David?
Oh, man, I love music. I got guitars all over the place. Favorite musician of all time. The first one that came to mind is probably Bob Marley and the Wailers.
Oh my goodness. For those that don't know, I know that movie's actually coming out February the 14th, and I am super bummed because I will be on an airplane and I will not be able to go see it. Love the genre of music, love his story. We'll see how well they do at telling that story. So awesome, David. Didn't even know that we had that in common. Last question, David, and this is one I always like to ask. Is a flip-flop considered a shoe? And if yes, why? And if no, why not?
Yeah, it covers the bottom of your foot.
Okay, there you go. You heard it from David. A flip-flop is a shoe. It covers the bottom of your foot. David, thank you so very much. Thank you for those that are watching this live or watching a recording. Janet, thank you so much for helping set this up and make it all happen. Y'all take care. Y'all be well. Hey, I want to take an opportunity to say thank you for watching this video and subscribing. My question for you is, what are your revenue goals this year? Why don't you drop them in the comments below? And remember this, you're either winning or you're learning.